Zoinks, fellow armchair Imagineers.
Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5. Welcome to our long-awaited retrospective on the Mook Animation Mount Rushmore of Scooby movies. We're talking everything from Cajun creeps to Wiccans turn wicked, far-out alien invaders, to a cyber chase for the ages. It's time to grab some Scooby snacks and show Warner Brothers how a true Scooby-Doo movie should be done. Find your glasses and hold on to your ascots. It's time for Scoobtember. And tonight, what are we talking about?
We're talking Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost.
Yeah.
So, Dragon, this was, when I was a kid, this was like my sister and I's jam. I know I brought up my sister and I before in terms of, stuff that we'd watch together specifically. And honestly, it was a lot of Scooby-Doo. Like, we would kind of like lead more into the creepier side of things. So, it was Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, the Scooby-Doo movie, and this were three of the big ones. But Dragon, this out of those three were probably the one that we watched the most, just because I gotta tell you, man, me and her, like, we both just really, I don't know, like, the Hex Girls just kind of came along at just the right time when we were like, like little tweens who were kind of rebellious. And Dragon, the Hex Girls just really carried this movie for my sister and I when we were kids. Looking back on it, obviously Tim Curry carries this movie. I mean, this is like, I don't, Dragon, honestly, like, I think Zombie Island is overall a better film. I'm not going to deny that. But I think this one comes closer to the quality of Zombie Island than people give it credit for. It's not trying to be as atmospheric as Zombie Island or as scary as Zombie Island. But it does have good atmosphere in it with the, with the autumn setting in New England. I don't know. I just really like that. I really like all the fall colors and everything. It really does make the movie distinct. We'll talk about it as we go along, but all four movies we're covering this time around on Scoobtember, they all have super memorable locations, and this is no difference. But Dragon, ultimately, what I like about this is that this kind of feels like a blend of like the classic Scooby-Doo mystery, mixed with the thrills of Zombie Island. The whole, oh my god, the monsters are real. The ending comes out of freaking nowhere, and it's totally batshit, and I honestly kind of love it. Tim Curry and Tress MacNeille just are both having the time of their goddamn lives in that recording booth, and it's just glorious to listen to. Overall, like I said, Dragon, like as far as plot structure goes and everything, it's definitely not as tight as Zombie Island. It's not as atmospheric as Zombie Island. I'd say animation-wise, it's probably a little bit of a step down. But I really like the way this is laid out, where it's like, we'll get into it, but how about 2/3 of the way through, it looks like things are wrapping up, and then Tim Curry pulls a big old like, oh no, I'm about to go really crazy here. So, yeah. So Atomic Beast is here. He says, "Hi guys. This film was the last one where we see Daphne in her news reporter getup."
Yeah, I think, Atomic Beast, I'm not sure that's entirely true, because we have heard some variation of, it's kind of pretty much the same outfit. But I mean, you're right, we kind of drift away from the news reporter thing. So you're not entirely wrong. I just think we still kind of give her like that number for the next two, I think.
All right, so Dragon, what did you think of Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost?
Yeah, so this has always been my personal favorite of the movie
Really?
animation
Oh, wow.
Scooby-Doo direct-to-videos. Yeah, I've always had a great fondness.
I'm honestly kind of surprised, but pleasantly surprised.
I mean, look, let me put it this way. Here's my analogy, okay, related to kind of the Batman comparison from last time with Zombie Island. If Zombie Island is Mask of the Phantasm, Witch's Ghost is Batman Sub-Zero. And that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, it's not. It's not. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's not as iconic, but but for sure, just as
I feel like it's the fan favorite of the four, if that makes sense. Like, it's not the most popular one, but I feel like it's the one where the most deep-seated fans kind of gravitate to.
Sure. Where this is not as iconic as the predecessor, but it's just as rewarding and entertaining. It's another And I think introduction wise, I think it was probably another big Cartoon Network double feature. Kind of like I remember them constantly at a certain point they would air Zombie Island followed by Witch's Ghost, very much kind of an awesome double feature.
Scooby Doo on Zombie Island, followed by Scooby Doo and the Witch's Ghost.
Yeah, it was awesome. So I think ultimately really works about this film and why it's so good to me is that this film proves, we can spice up the classic Scooby-Doo mystery formula without completely getting super experimental with it like the first movie did, like Zombie
Uh-huh.
Island. It's like how much can we throw out? Where in this case, like no, let's show that the formula can work, guys. It's like the old. I'll give you another comparison. It's kind of like the old Superman's a boring character. Well, no, he's not. You don't have to change everything. You don't have to make him angsty or anything. Just lean into the strengths, but do it in a new way.
Yeah, yeah.
In this case, yeah, where again, so Zombie Island, is for example, is restructured from the get go. Where here we basically wait to the third act to do said restructuring. And we kind of tie the relationship between mysteries
And
and
then
the
once we
mystery.
do so, then it's like honestly the supernatural stuff we do get in the third act is like crazier than anything that we get in Zombie Island.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like
It's
I
not
think
as scary. It's definitely a more campy kind of crazy, but it's still really entertaining.
Yeah, I love how we tied the relationship between the mystery and the supernatural element of the film
Mhm.
together really well. A lot better than we did with like the reveal of like rituals and sacrificial stuff in the
Right,
2002 live
right.
action one. So again, this is yet again kind of like you'll notice again it's really after the first two movies this kind of goes away, but you notice they're kind of trailing off from the as we trail off from the live action comparisons. Where again, we're getting a little bit of that. Then we won't really bring that up again until the sequel with Cyber Chase. That's when we get into like the Scooby Doo 2 comparisons. Like, hey, they're bringing back the iconic villains.
Yeah, sure, sure.
But
Honestly,
yeah,
Dragon, we'll get into it, but I'm really excited to revisit Alien Invasion because, as much as I love this film for the for the New England setting, I love Alien Invasion for that desert setting. It's like how often do you see a Scooby-Doo story in the desert?
yeah, there are a lot of kind of like last tip of the hats in
Uh-huh.
Alien, and I keep going back to Invaders and Invasion.
I
It's
think
but
it's Alien Invasion. I could be
it,
wrong though.
let's see, it's
You're
it's
looking it up.
Invaders.
Invaders.
Invaders. Now, let me. I
Okay.
got okay. So two things real quick. One, just want to also get in there again. It's not just like the animation. It's not just the animation that we've kind of applied to kind of the classic formula, which is also kind of an upgrade in itself. But again, the plotting and the payoffs. I think the plotting and the payoffs again, as our aforementioned third act shows, a lot of stuff came back really well.
Mhm.
You know, so I want to tell you a story, brief story. I had
Oh
a very
gosh. Okay.
serendipitous day today. So I was out doing some stuff, and the night before, I believe it was the night before, I was just kind of I was curious. I was looking at maybe a couple nights ago. I was trying to like what I'm having a good time with the Scooby movies, but we've had to look them up online and everything because let's face it, we have them on VHS. We didn't really have the DVDs, at least I don't. So I tried looking up, tried to find them, and trying the conventional ways, like outside looking for bundles, and like they always sell like the double feature. The double
Mhm.
feature has like never like the combo I want, which is hey, I want Zombie Island and Witch's Ghost. It's never that way. It's always Zombie Island and Alien Invaders.
That's honestly weird. You would think that
Yeah.
like Witch's Ghost will get paired with Zombie Island more
It's like,
often.
hey, instead of Phantasm and
Like as
Sub
far as I can
Zero,
remember, Alien Invaders was like that one was kind of like the dark horse of the four, from what I
yeah,
could remember.
and that's the point. Yeah. And so
Yeah.
so that's what I'm saying. So instead of like, hey, here's Phantasm and and Sub Zero and a classic two pack, let's do like one of the more modern kind of double features. Where hey, it's Phantasm and Mystery of the Batwoman for some
Oh
reason.
God, yeah.
Yeah, because that's kind of cut from the same cloth.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think Alien Invaders is going to be better than that, but
Well, no, that anyway. So getting back to my point. So the point is, I was looking them up, and apparently the really hard one to find of the bunch is a Witch's Ghost. I mean, that's the one that's really. I
mm,
mean, you look on Amazon, it says, "Hey, we got it, but it won't play in the United States. Like every version they have will not play in
oh
the United
God,
States. So
wow.
it's like one of those. So the point being, Witch's Ghost is a little harder to come by. Anyway, so I run some errands and I stop in a Barnes and Nobles,
Oh no,
and you won't believe this.
did it show up?
Here's the thing. So the Barnes Nobles, which is notoriously overpriced, they were having a
Uh,
massive sale. and there's like a whole bunch of things that were for $5. And I swear to you, I was just kind of looking through, and I just like was like, I was kind of gobsmacked, like, oh my god, not just Witch's Ghost, which again is the hardest one to find. All four of the Scooby Doo movies were for
Oh,
$5 a
nice.
piece,
Score,
which basically
score.
saved me like the trouble of having to track them down. Which so yeah, I got them all. So now I'll have them on DVD. Yeah, quite serendipitous on the very day in which we are talking, Witch's Ghost.
All right. So yeah, Dragon, where should we start with this?
Well, I have some background, which is, the background's really interesting on these, especially Witch's Ghost. Witch's Ghost has the most
Yeah, go
interesting
ahead. Go
background.
ahead.
Okay, so this is coming
How
out of
did
nine.
Tim Curry become Velma's love interest?
Okay, so this movie came out in '99. Again, it's pretty much a one-a-year sort of thing up until the
Oh
live
God.
action
Oh,
film.
just saying that year, man. It's just Dragon, I gotta tell you, watching this movie, it just gave me so many like vivid flashbacks to elementary school just because I watched it so much during that time period. It's like
Oh
kind
yeah.
of a deja vu experience. Anyways, go ahead. Sorry.
All right, so again, so Scooby Doo very much revitalized as Zombie Island came out, which again went over like gangbusters. Like, hey, we were looking to kind of breathe some new life in the Scooby Doo, and we did, and it worked wonders. So Zombie Island went over really well, but it also the studio really did not have much faith in like, yeah, well, we'll just see what happens. You know, maybe it'll be the nail in Scooby Doo's coffin. Maybe it won't. Maybe we stick with like whatever the trend is, which pretty much is what we're doing now with like kind of the milk toast like bad animated Scooby
I
Doo.
hate it. I hate it. I don't
Yeah,
want to acknowledge that that thing exists.
right. So anyway, so the point
I would
being,
rather have a Flintstones in that style because at least Flintstones fits that style.
sure. So that's the thing. So the point being, you know, they're kind of like, it sounds like they were about to, they would have kind of shrugged it off as that, which is kind of where they're at now. But so Zombie Island's a success though, which is like, hey, let's do more of these. But the studio now, okay, a lot of eyes are on
Zombie
Scooby Doo
Island won
because
an Emmy, right?
I'm not sure because it wasn't necessarily a TV movie, so I don't know if they would have qualified
Oh,
for an
that's
Emmy.
yeah. I don't know. I just know it must have won some
It,
sort of awards.
I
Maybe
think
an
so.
Annie, perhaps.
That sounds more likely.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, so point being, Zombie Island came out. Studio is like, okay, a lot of tension here. We're going to do more, but we're a little nervous because we're a studio. And that first movie was awfully ambitious and also kind of scary, a little scarier than Scooby Doo has been historically before this point. So this led to, of course, some studio meddling.
Oh boy.
So basically, they had free
And I
reign
would have
on
gotten
the.
away with it too if it weren't for you meddling studios.
Yeah. So, so again, so they basically were we have this is why like the mind says, okay, so first movie a little darker than we like, so we got to tone down this next movie. Let's go back more to formula, which is why we're a little bit more classic Scooby Doo this go around. Which is why we're kind of like we're following kind of the
Well,
usual
honestly,
trend.
Dragon, it's like I think in a sense I feel like that works as a follow-up to Zombie Island. I really do.
Yeah, so you're not
Because
just
like
doing
you
the
said
same
at the
thing
beginning,
again.
it kind of like it shows that it shows that the more formulaic Scooby-Doo adventures can fit into kind of like this more cinematic context.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, so point being again, because of that mindset of like, okay, let's not get too ambitious. Let's rein it back into what we know. But we got a good animation studio. So it'll look nice. It'll look nice, guys. So the studio here's where the studio kind of crossed the line. But again, I'm pretty much with you. I think it all turned out really well. So I have no complaints really. But just to tell you what their mindset was while they were making this thing.
Okay.
So the studio put on new writers that were not on Zombie Island, which so yeah, remember the crew that worked on Zombie Island are involved in all four movies, at least in some variation. I think like at
Sure,
least one of the
sure.
writers is on all four movies. But it's like, hey, the studio's nervous, so we're going to put our writers on this, which are other writers who are good writers. So again, that's why things turned out as well. We have David A. Goodman, who of course most well known for Family Guy, particularly the good years. Well, it was when they came back, like season 4 on. That's when you get David A. Goodman. So David A. Goodman was good stock, and he did Star Trek. You have Rick Kopp or Rick Cope, however that goes. Guy did Teen Titans. Uh, yeah, anyway, so Teen Titans was and Golden Girls. He went a more historical kind of like he was involved in the Golden Girls. Like Rick Kopp's been around.
Mhm.
Anyway, so yeah, this really hurt the original writers and the original crew's feelings. Like, hey, we're not good enough. What gives? We did an excellent job on Zombie. Everyone told us so. What are you attaching writers and meddling so much for, man?
Yeah, it seems to, like, honestly, if I was a writer for Zombie Island and got replaced, I would be kind of insulted too, because that thing did, like, it worked like gangbusters for the critics, man. I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
people still to this day, it's like it is the magnum opus of the Scooby Doo IP.
So basically, one event happened that has to be highlighted. So the new writing team essentially they ended the film pretty much where you think it wraps up, before the big third act, if you will. Like basically, like when we
Oh
solve the
man,
mystery,
yeah, that's a pretty
that's
big delineation.
that's where it would have ended for them. And then basically the original crew, again, they're not fired or anything. Like they worked on it, they're there. So they said they complete, like, we hate this ending it here. We gotta do our supernatural thing here,
And that,
guys.
like, that is exactly when the movie becomes a blast.
So
So
again,
that
that's
that
thanks to
that
the
makes
original
sense.
team. That's Glenn Leopold there for you. All right, and also some the voice acting thing to track here. Okay, so there is an evolution within our voice cast for these 4 films. So now Billy West, at this point in time, as you may remember, he got Futurama at this time, so he couldn't come
Yes,
back.
yes.
So then Scott Inez, who had taken over the role of Scooby Doo from Don Messick, he steps up. He was a radio personality, and in addition to doing a great Scooby Doo, he did an even better Shaggy.
Mhm.
I love that he's a radio guy, much like Casey Kasem. So this kind of felt
Yeah,
predestined.
I think Matthew Lillard honestly is probably like my number one Shaggy, even outside, even more so than Casey Kasem. But yeah, this guy's really good too. He's certainly a step up from Billy West.
I mean, that's the thing. Inez, for me, he was my Shaggy growing up. Before Matthew
Uh
Lillard
huh.
entered the fray,
Sure,
he was
sure.
always, when I thought of Shaggy, like, it was always Inez. He was my guy. I mean, don't know, I love Kasem. It was between Kasem and this guy, but these movies being kind of the some of the best
With
Scooby
Lillard, man,
movies.
I think I just have a personal connection with him, just because, like,
Sure.
I watched a lot of his stuff when I was a kid, even outside of Scooby Doo. And I just think it's really cool how he transitioned from live action into, like, godfathering that role into voice acting. So I don't know. I just really like the story with
I mean,
Lillard.
Lillard didn't even possible. He made that character flesh and blood. And he did it perfectly. So
But Dragon,
there's
I think
nothing.
there's one thing that we can all agree on. All right,
What?
Will Forte is not the best Shaggy.
That is true. Yes, sir. But what's funny though? I had no idea about this. Apparently, there were a lot of other hats in the ring from the voice acting community for the role of Shaggy, which all sound like the wrong choice to
I
me.
have
Which I
news
think
about another Will, by the way. Would you like to know more Will news?
so. Will Wheaton.
No, it's Will Arnett.
Oh, what about Will Arnett?
Will Arnett is going to be playing the Ghost Host in Muppet Haunted Mansion.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm actually pretty excited about it.
Yeah, man, I like Will Arnett. Yeah.
I think it has some good potential. Anyways,
But yeah, like I'm talking like some of the biggies in the industry, like Rob Paulson, Jeff Bennett. They were kind of thrown out for the role there, but I think ultimately they went the right call.
uh-huh.
All right, and lastly, this thing I think
Well,
you're really gonna.
honestly, the right call would have been Uncle Deadly.
Well, no, I meant for voicing Shaggy.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah, yeah,
Dragon. Jesus
yeah. Like
Christ.
Rob Paulson and Jeff Bennett were considered for voicing Shaggy before they landed
Yeah,
on
because I was
Inez.
like, yeah, I could see Rob Paulson as a ghost host.
Well, of
Sure,
course,
why not?
they'd be great ghost hosts, but we're not
Yeah,
talking.
yeah.
Forgive me for
Anyway,
steering it
sorry.
back on
Oh my
topic.
god. All right, all right. I'm sorry.
Okay,
Jeez.
lastly, you're going to appreciate this given your Hex Girls nostalgia.
Okay.
So the Hex Girls,
Yeah.
they went over big, as you can probably tell. Everyone loved the Hex Girls in this.
Yeah, yeah. Because I was like directly in that age demographic to love them. Yes.
So much so, there were talks of a spin-off show, kind of Josie and the Pussycat style.
I'm not surprised.
It did not track, but just there was a lot of talks like, hey, let's put them in a series. I mean, very corporate thinking, It's like, yay, they well here. Okay, before we get into this,
They've
Tom.
returned. They've returned too, right?
Yeah, they returned in some of the was one of the other. I think it was the not that. There was another vampire Scooby Doo movie in which they
Oh,
came back. I can't remember if it was like the Mexican vampire or just I think it's just they call it the Mexican vampire.
all right.
Anyway,
Also,
so
I'm just gonna throw out one obligatory Rebel Taxi. Oh yeah, goth girls. All right, I'm done.
okay, all right. Okay, let's see. Okay, I think we can save some of the Tom Beast stuff for later. But he does make the note that this film is where I know the difference between witches and Wiccans.
Yeah, it's where I learned that too. I think.
Me too. Yeah, yeah. I had no
All
idea
right,
what a Wiccan
so
was.
What do you think of the museum opening? I thought it was really well done. I got to say, watching it again, it brought me right back.
I love the idea of like basically the doing like a James Bond opening equivalent with Scooby Doo, where it's like the opening chase or the trap that wraps up a mystery. I think it's a great
Yeah,
idea.
yeah.
I love that. And also, big subversion at the top here, where we have, we've caught our Babylonian kind of like, costume kind of creeps, thanks to Ben Ravencroft, which is
Uh-huh.
like, who's this guy?
My favorite little moment in this is when the professor's kind of walking around and Shaggy's posed as the caveman, and then he's just like, "Professor, behind you!" And the professor kind of gets startled by Shaggy pointing his club at him.
I do find it suspect they didn't loop that guy into the plan, but say less.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Okay,
true.
so in answer to your earlier question, Tiki, so Tim Curry. So
Yeah,
Tim
oh my god.
Curry,
Like Tim Curry is just obviously like he got Tim Curry in the Scooby Doo movie, and he's playing the villain, and he's playing a villain who like really is in hiding for the first 2/3 of the movie, but then in Act 3 he just comes out in full force, just absolutely taking ice cream scoops out of the scenery.
yeah. So Tim Curry, he was a huge Scooby Doo fan. He loved the role. He as you can tell, he ate it up like ice cream. But yeah, so yeah, and originally the voice was supposed to be Maurice LaMarche, but again, this Curry was, I assume, available, and we know he wasn't working on Batman the animated series. I know this was years later. I'm just throwing it out there. So Curry had been doing a lot of voice work, obviously, stuff like Wild Thornberries and stuff. It's
Uh-huh.
like, yeah, why not get him into a Scooby Doo thing? And
I
of
think it
course,
makes a lot of sense for him to be involved in the Scooby Doo thing. I think his personality, his overall his overall vibe is very much in tune with Scooby Doo.
but I love it wasn't just like, oh, Tim Curry, hamming it up from the start. No, it was a genuine performance that didn't
Yeah,
like
absolutely. It is one of the more subtle Tim Curry roles until it's not.
and of course, just the character itself, I really love Ben Ravencroft because one, I love that he's kind of a combination of Stephen King and David Xanatos from Gargoyles. I love it because seriously, you look at him, he looks identical to David Xanatos, but he's
I
got
could
kind of
see
that
that.
regal.
Yeah.
He's got like the regal kind of David Xanatos is likable as all get out, so there's a likability
I
there too. But
also find it funny that like Tim Curry is like barely holding together an American accent the whole time.
sure. So again, he gave a really good performance, without question. And also, I love like the fourth wall. This guy fourth wall, given the production I just laid out for you, is like, you meddling writer.
Right, right.
Just them calling out David A. Goodman and Company. So yeah, and also this is a first here. Tom Peace kind of making some points here, saying, "Take note, the witch's ghost has antagonists that are willing to kill, like in Zombie Island, Alien Invaders, Mystery Inc."
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And yeah, so some other first, I believe technically this is the first time they call out the meddling kids thing, or the first time they have a problem with being called meddling kids. Yeah, not the last time, but the first.
All right. So, let's talk about that New England setting, man.
Yeah, so Oak Haven, Massachusetts. So very, very. If I recall, Stephen King, he always sets his stuff in Maine. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so it's even more on brand. Of course, I love the idea of they're just being invited. And by the way, I don't know if you noticed this carryover, very subtle carryover from Zombie Island. He read about their exploits during the montage in Zombie Island with the moat
I did
monster.
notice that. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see. But yeah, so kind of carried from that, and also Velma has a bookstore, ergo she's read a lot of his books. So again, I think
Right.
things kind of
Right.
fell into place quite nicely there, and Velma's fangirling over him, which kind of leads to let's go visit Stephen King. The Stephen King's offering like a little like a visit to his homestead, and he's going to be play tour guide. This is wonderful. Why would we not take him up on this?
Exactly. So I like how spontaneous it is, but I like how it is up everyone's alley. Like everyone kind of wants to go there for different reasons. Dragon, this movie really, I mean, I should have solidified this in my mind a lot sooner, but
Mm-hmm.
Shaggy and Scooby definitively, man, that they are the fictional characters that got me into being a foodie.
Yep. Oh, we're gonna get to that scene. Oh
I
yeah,
mean, just
don't you worry.
definitively, man. It's just like like their person. It's like Dragon. These two are like the OG foodies. All right, it's like their lifestyle was a foodie lifestyle before anyone knew what a foodie was. All right, anyways.
I don't know how discerning they are, though. I don't know if, like, I don't think they would have the patience not to eat the food. They would probably, I don't think they take pictures and all that sort of stuff. I don't know about that.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
Now I want to see Shaggy and Scooby as legit like food vloggers in a new Scooby Doo
It
reboot. I
would
think
be
that'd be
hilarious to
amazing.
see Scooby attempt it, or like Shaggy's not gonna like Scooby would attempt it, then Shaggy would eat the food instantly before he has a chance to take a picture of it. Okay, well we'll get to that. That's my favorite scene in the movie. We'll get there.
Uh-huh.
But just with the location itself, though, yeah, I love that we fleshed out the town with the history and the atmosphere. And again, the movies really. Here's the thing. Here's the trick to it, Diggy, is that the movies, they have to pad the runtime a little bit versus what we had with the series, where again it's like, okay, well, it's going to a generic kind of like, oh, it's a haunted house or it's this location, it's that location. We don't really know much about it. That's how it's called this, and it's a museum or a carnival or a haunted house. Usually one of those three, almost every
Right.
time. If you're lucky, there'll be water next to it. you know
Yeah.
Otherwise, again, so in this case, like, okay, let's explore the location, because one, we have to pad our runtime to get to the feature mark, but also like, why not
So
cultivate the
this,
atmosphere?
the fact that they are like genuinely exploring the
Yeah,
location and playing tourist, and like, and not only that, but we have like all these kind of like sketchy would be red herrings kind of running around everywhere. Dragon, it really does make Act One just kind of like a nice breezy, like,
very cozy.
autumn vacation movie almost.
Yeah, and this is a real thing,
It's
by the
it's
way.
very comfort food.
And this is a real New England thing, by the way. New England, they love to watch the leaves
Oh
change.
yes, I know, Dragon. I know. I
I
saw
know,
the Family Guy episode.
I know. That's what I'm just reminding the folks. But yeah, it's a yeah.
I'm actually going to the Smoky Mountains right as the leaves are changing, so I'm kind of hoping for that to be a nice sight.
Yeah, all the lovely Maine trappings are quite nice. And speaking of Maine trappings, for example, I love that we took the Jaws approach with we have, between the Autumn Fest, and of course we have a literal Mayor Vaughn archetype with Mayor Corey.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, and I Tiki, here's I think rewatching the movie. It's been a long time since I rewatched this, because obviously it's a little hard to get, get your hands on it, but um, I thought it was such a great idea to turn Ghost into a tourist trap. Which, think about it, historically,
Yes, it's super clever. The
because
way that it kind of like plays on the fact that, like, okay, like, like Ravencroft might not necessarily like it, but he's using it to his advantage, and it's like the story's got a couple different layers and like dangling threads to it, and I like that pretty much the whole town is in on it to a certain extent.
But also think about this. And this is the thing that really kind of jazzed me out of my mind, is the fact that it's the reverse of all Scooby Doo plots, where it's always like a land plot, like we want to scare people away from the land or away from the treasure. In
Exactly,
this
yeah,
case,
yeah.
complete opposite, which I just thought was a stroke of genius.
Which
This is what I'm telling you.
honestly,
This is
Dragon,
a
I feel like that sort of mentality has just aged all, like that has aged like
yeah.
fine wine in today's tourist industry. People love a good ghost town.
Which again is what I'm saying. Like, we took the formula and we made some genius kind of like kind of updates to it. It was like, yeah, like keep the standard thing, but of course we're going to change it majorly Act Three. But still, we keep the formula. But let's just spice up let's spice up the moments that we're just kind of done. We're tired treading the same path now. Let's invert a little bit.
Uh-huh.
Add a little loop de loop. And of course, the Puritan, the whole Puritan village attraction thing is really cool too. We have like butter churning, the leaves changing, the
Oh my
corn
god,
husking, the
yeah,
whole.
and just honestly,
Okay,
just seeing Scooby and Shaggy just interact with all this stuff and
yeah,
kind of like them being goofy. It's like Dragon, like I said, it's comfort food. It really
yeah,
is. That's the best way I can describe it. It's makes me just kind of like want to snuggle up in a sleeping bag on a rainy night.
yeah. And I love that all of this, while really great too, and then you feel it because the performance, I think, is compelling enough that before we have our major turn, which still is compelling, which is scary. Um, all of this, lovely as it is, cozy as it is, resonates as a personal cost to poor Ben. whose
Sure,
sister's name is
sure,
being
yeah.
dragged through the mud because essentially, the Salem witch trials. Which again, to Atomic Beast's point, yeah, this movie very much to the kids like you and I and everyone else seeing it at that time. Wiccans 101, where we establish the root of the Echo Goths for later, the earthly healer thing, and we add layers of ambiguity. I love the ambiguous several. You know what? The Salem witch trials is such an infamous McCarthyism kind of at its root, if you will. It's that whole thing of like we say you're this, and if you say no, you're lying. If you say yes, we got you.
Right,
It's
right.
just this idea like, hey,
Yeah.
were they all Wiccans, or logically, with the supernatural? You know what? At least one or two of all those Wiccans, probably the real deal. At least one to two. Like in all that time, it's horrible math, mind you, folks. But again, in all that time, you think at least once or twice they had to have gotten one witch. I just love the odds on that. Yeah, so we have that going on. But anyway, so speaking of like the cozy comfort food, my friend. Let's talk about my favorite scene in the movie. Let's talk about the Oak
Okay.
Haven restaurant. Let's talk about Jack, baby.
Yeah, Jack is just such a great character, Dragon. This is Man Ray, right?
You know what? I don't know. I didn't
The
look it
voice
up.
actor. I'm pretty sure I looked it up.
I mean, he sounds like he could be.
Yeah, I want to say it is.
All right. Well, there you go. Anyway,
Yeah, I mean, my one nitpick, Dragon, is that I feel like the food animation itself is not like necessarily up to par.
oh, you take that back.
What food animation do we have?
Are you insane? This is the best food animation in Scooby Doo.
Okay, because to me, when maybe I'm just like, it's the way they're eating it that is kind of like, that kind of takes me out of
That's great. That's the animation.
All right, yeah. It's great. It's good.
Yeah.
What gets me though, Dragon, what I'm trying to get at though, is even outside of the food animation, the way that Jack is describing the menu is just, oh my god, like,
right?
Dragon, that must have been like an early sort of like, it must have etched its way into my brain of like, one day I will travel the country and visit restaurants like this.
See, that's what I'm saying, okay? Just as much as iconic as the giant sandwich is to Shaggy and Scooby, and as great as the hot peppers were last movie, in all the Scooby-Doo movies, at any time I've ever seen it, this for me is, this is my favorite this is some of my favorite food animation ever. This is like in the top 5. Okay, period. And for this has to be the top tier Scooby because again, because of those factors, because of you have the description, you have the setup, then you have just Scooby and Shaggy just chowing down that way, and like you can hear like all that food sounds like the food it sounds like, and it's
right,
like
right.
down to the sound design. Also, you have like kind of like this somewhat again Mookie animation kind of showing a little bit of the kind of the Japanese anime influence in the scene with the reactions and the timing. And honestly, it's the fact that Scooby and Shaggy say, "This is the best food we ever had," and it sounds. I believe him the way he said that. That scene is just it's perfect food animation, Tiki.
Yeah, you're right.
Like,
Right.
Anyway,
right. And then just on top of all that, we have Jack and kind of like setting up his, kind of like how sort of his suspicious role and everything. Also, I just love the little button at the end of the scene where Jack is just absolutely exhausted by the end of it.
I just love the fact that he literally ran out of food. He has to run to the market.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. That whole sequence. I mean, of all the Shaggy and Scooby food scenes, like that, all that it just tracks so well.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay, so after that, we have a very iconic. I always loved how we meet the Hex Girls. I always have. I just love the fact that they're in a dark alley, and again, that's the really cool thing about the small town too. We have like the cobblestone; it just feels lived in. We've explored these locations and the atmosphere. Which again, we had atmosphere last week. We have like a local atmosphere, instead of like a giant.
Dragon, I would honestly say that the atmosphere in this one is maybe like. It's not as
like
scary.
Sleepy Hollow-esque,
Yeah, it's not as scary as the Zombie Island atmosphere, but I think it's equally as transportive, if that makes sense.
I mean, again, like how often do you run across like a giant mansion? Like this is more like
right.
Something more kind of like relatable with this, I'd say.
Well, I think the swamps of Zombie Island were the main thing with the atmosphere there. But you're right. The mansion, by contrast, was kind of like.
Well, I meant the whole property, Tiki. But yeah, you're right. Sure. Between the marshes and the mansion. Yeah. How often do you run across those?
All right.
Anyway, so the Hex Girls. So yes, Thorn, Dusk, and then Luna.
I will say I do think that the songs in Zombie Island are a little bit better than the Hex Girls songs.
Well, mind you, it's like what we did here is like all but one of the songs are Hex Girls songs, and that's you gotta
Right.
remember all the people in that group can sing, if I understand. Like they're all doing their own singing. It was kind of like you have a
It's a
natural
good
rep.
song. I'm just saying it's hard to beat the Zombie Island songs, man. It's hard to beat Terror Time.
I agree. Basically, like we have that, and like Billy Ray Cyrus doing a remix of the Scooby Doo song at the top. So that's pretty much it's your music this go around. So it's if you don't like the Hex Girls, you're not in luck.
Right, yeah. But I like the Hex
No,
Girls
I
quite
know
a
you.
bit.
I know you
I'm
do.
just saying the songs in Zombie Island are bangers.
That's what I'm saying. They're all very different and all very
Yeah,
fitting of Scooby,
yeah.
which is the advantage they have. Where this is like all extras. Like if someone were like, yeah, I like the Hex Girls, but music,
Yeah, right. It's like I feel like with the Hex Scrolls, it's kind of like more the vibe and the style that attracts people.
yeah. But
Oh yeah, goth girls.
But I do echo goth girls. Eco. I guess eco goth is probably the
Uh-huh.
eco goth girls. Anyway, so what I like though with the Hex Girls is that we've taken our musical component, which again they're like songs, like kind of a song that plays over at the chase scene. We've looped in the musical component of the film into the plot, which is quite impressive.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and again, it's a cool gimmick. Great. They look great. Obviously, the again
They're a decent red herring with the with the connection to the occult stuff. But I
yes, but I
love that
will
they get on the side of the gang pretty quickly. They don't just like dwell out the red herring stuff for too long.
I will call out one thing. It's a small thing, but when I was rewatching, it just kind of stood out to me. Wait a minute. So the Hex Girls are just playing their music out like that's like they see the lights going on. They investigate almost kind of Muppet movie style.
Uh,
Where's that music coming from in the church? They don't look like Baptists to me anyway. So they go in there and it's like they start playing music, not hurting anyone, no harm, no foul. Honestly, nothing suspicious. And then right after they walk away, there's something suspicious about those hexers. I'm like, no, there isn't. What's suspicious about it? Just playing their music. That's the thing. That's the one thing where you watch the movie. It's like, well, how are they suspicious? I mean, I know they're red herrings because basically their introduction where they scare the crap out of Shaggy and Scooby in the alley. But
right.
oh, also, a little bit of that Fred Daphne relationship development, so you're gonna have to wave bye bye to that in a while, folks. But
Yeah, the
it's
Fred Daphne stuff is definitely the weak part of the movie, just because it's like, all right, really, guys, like at this point, we're still in the will they, won't they phase.
well.
Really,
To be fair to you, this is the second time they've ever acknowledged it, so it's not necessarily a problem with it. Like the fact that after we do this, it's really until we get into the movies, and it's kind of there. It's like we don't really talk about Fred and Daphne as much as people think we do when you think about it.
and that's true. I just feel like the only thing that they have to do in most movies is just like, oh, are they going to get together? Ooh, tension.
That's what gets
Ooh, hey,
repetitive.
Fred, why do you and Daphne always go off together?
See, that's the thing. We've never done anything with any of those relationship threads. We always like tease it up because we can't go anywhere with it. We can only bring it up. We haven't done anything
Uh-huh.
like that until like something like Mystery Incorporated. They actually talk about the relationships in that show, so they actually
Uh-huh.
explore that for the whole season or so. So anyway, all right. Let's see. Beyond that, the split. Okay, so we split up the gang, and we actually do. I love how we each walk away with something effective here, like something with the plot. Like all three teams, they follow like suspects or leads. Like, hey, there's a cherry picker. We're following the Hex Girls, and hey, we're following the mayor, and they all came up with good results that helped solve the mystery.
Yeah.
So again, tightly plotted. That's what I'm saying. All right, so let's talk about the false ending. So, the false ending.
I mean, I really like it. I think that I think it pretty much feels like, basically, Dragon, it feels like a double-length Scooby-Doo episode, right?
Yeah.
Like, it feels like a 45-minute Scooby-Doo episode, and it's like, all right, things are wrapping up. Okay, that was easy. Let's all go home, meddling kids, yada, yada, yada.
And then there's like 20 minutes left, and if you check like the clock, it's like, wait a minute, there's like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, how long are these credits? This was 99. So yes, so the ultimate red herring moment, which again, I love how it's the ultimate red herring because again, it's like it's a whole ending where there were no Mr. X. We solved the mystery. It's a whole town of red herrings, and I just love that as a twist of like, hey, it's the whole town was in on it, and again, no one. if you look back in the movie, and I love this on the rewatch, is like, hey, Shaggy and Scooby, they were almost killed seemingly by the fake witch. It was like throwing fireballs at them. But if you think about it, it's just like it's a pyrotechnic show. They didn't expect anyone to be walking the streets that time of night because they didn't expect anyone to eat the diner out of house and home. That's why. And also, I like it. We kind of redeemed everyone. It's like, hey, it's Thorne's father was the guy wearing the mask this time, and it's like, again, they weren't hurting anybody. They're just trying to up the tourist trade, but at the cost of Ben Ravencroft, which something kind of dark. I completely forgot about. They dug up his sister's grave by accident. It's pretty dark.
Yeah. Oh man. I mean, it's like there is I mean, let's just get right into it, Dragon. Act 3 of this movie is nuts.
Yeah, and tell me how you felt about this. This is the thing that
Right.
bridges us into that. So the shoe buckle. So I love the shoe buckle. You think is like, okay, we set up the little shoe buckle, which in reality is a buckle from the book or journal, and you think, oh, it's going to be our happy button after we victimized poor Ben Ravencroft here. It's like, hey, we found your book, and that's going to be da 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 da, and maybe then we'll bring out the Hex Girls for the musical number. That does not happen.
No.
The journal turns into a spooky book, which has the best line in the movie, Tiki. You ready for it?
Yeah, tell me.
This doesn't look like it doesn't look like it has a skull on the front of the book. Ben says, oh, that's because it's a spell book. The way he says
right.
it's
and then just right away, Tim Curry just goes from like, mild mannered, kind of like Nigel Thornberry in father mode, like 1 to 11 really fast. He's full on Frankenfurter camp dragon,
which is awesome. So
oh
so we have that guy in the comments asking one question: does Scooby kill a cat in this one? If not, well, that guy, but we do other really dark and twisted things. For example, we just dug up a woman's grave, and we're going to threaten to violate a turkey.
Oh God, so, we'll get there. Oh God,
a little bit of that, and there were fireballs earlier, so there you go.
Okay.
Anyway, so and of course we're going the full Tim Curry, so you showed up just in time.
Yeah, right. So I mean, Tim Curry, man. I mean, like, what is there more to say? Like, I love the overly malicious and mean-spirited speech monologue that he gives to Velma about how he manipulated her.
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
it is like super exposition, right? Like, it is just like totally just like laying out his plan from beginning to the end. But like, I love how he's like cutting deep. It's like it's basically just like it's basically kind of like, oh, Anna, if only someone could love you, but better.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a bold third act that you don't really see it coming. I mean, do you remember seeing it coming?
Oh God, no.
That's what I'm saying, not. Right? Which is just so.
All these movies have really good twists, Dragon. All 4 of them.
Yeah, and I just here's the thing. I would go as far as to say this is the first time you had one legit villain for a Scooby-Doo thing, like a legit villain in which there are stakes, there's horror. I'm not trying to knock Zombie Island, but I'm saying you had like a singular one, like a literal mustache twirly villain who actually had menace, where instead it was like, oh, who is this? Or red herrings, where no, it's the legit. We reveal, oh my God, there is a super villain in a Scooby-Doo movie. And like the guy who outsmarted them at the end, like you thought they unmasked somebody, but they were wrong. I mean, that's the they were kind of wrong. Where it's this, he had this supernatural ace up his sleeve with really scary magic, and like he won. But I love that his undoing was that he pushed it by lusting after more and more power, and he had such a good plan.
The Jafar ending, right?
I mean, yeah, pretty much, yeah. Yeah, to an extent. Yeah, think about it. He had everything so well figured out. He ever since he read that newspaper thing, he planned out everything to lure him there and use him to find the book. And I love that if you notice, like a small detail, and I think we kept the glasses off him since the turn, is that we had like the cute glasses gag, which we haven't really done since like Johnny Bravo, really. Where like she bumps into kind of the
My
guy she has a
glasses.
crush
I
on.
can't be seen without my glasses.
Pretty much. So we have this cute gag. Oh, they kind of swapped glasses for a bit. Aw, and Velma kind of likes him and all that sort of stuff. So again, we spent 2 acts just completely throwing suspicion off this guy, thinking, oh, he's a nice guy, and we feel bad for him because
Literally
the town's.
everyone in the town besides him is getting shade thrown at them.
Yeah, and it's like literally the town is awfully. You feel you're kind of wagging your finger at the town. Scooby Doo literally does like the
Oh my god,
motion
he
with
does.
his.
You're right.
Because again, they were acting like you defiled the man's ancestors' grave. You didn't tell him, and basically you're selling T-shirts of his family's misfortune. And again, it's like not really something you can easily confirm whether someone's family member was a witch or not. It's kind of hard to tell.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, so again, there was so much sympathy for this character, and yet, oh god, like no, you guys are right the whole time. I'm a warlock now.
I'm a warlock now.
Yeah, just like, oh god, it's awesome.
Okay, so then let's see.
Then it
Like,
gets
remind
better.
me when Tress McNeil comes into the picture.
So that's the thing. So he's lusting for more power, and he says, "I want to see." He's putting him in a bubble and everything, and we do the meddling kids thing yet again. We're like, "Hey, we're not kids." I love it's kind of the call of like, "Oh, we're not talking kid stuff anymore, guys. We're bringing warlocks and witches into it now, and giant monster turkeys and pumpkins. Oh my!"
So we get the turkey and pumpkins before we get the witch, right?
No, I think we get her first. She
Okay.
does all that stuff later. The point being, so he's pushing it, and he tries to bring back he brings back Sarah Ravencroft, his ancestor.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, this might be like one of the Mount Rushmore performances for the legendary Tress McNeil. I mean, I really think so. Like, she has maybe 5-ish, maybe 10 minutes of screen time. But Dragon, oh my god, she milks every single last syllable that she delivers. And her cackle, Dragon, it is one of the most epic witches' cackles.
Very much kind of like a spectral crone, if you will.
Also, I love the gag where Scooby or I forget if it's Scooby or Shaggy, but they throw the water on her, and she's just like, "What was that?"
Worked for the Wizard of Oz.
Like, I love that this witch is like, she's both terrifying and genuinely threatening, but also has a little bit of a beat of comedy to her.
Yeah, it's great, and also I love just the fact we brought her back in like the whole Puritan town, and just like things have not changed that much.
Yeah.
So something to call out too with the animation, like we kind of I praised the whole food animation, but also our vehicle animation. Like we have our big chase scene at the end here, like when we're in the mystery machine. You'll notice Fred not driving during this scene. It's Shaggy, which is disastrous. And I love the idea of putting supernatural terms like the show. Fred's baby gets wrecked. I feel so bad for him. We're like that van gets wrecked.
That was one of like the few good moments in Scoob.
Yeah. Yep. Anyway, so this is the vehicle animation, like this whole like the chase scene where there's now danger in the frame. We're throwing all sorts of crazy stuff at him, like monster pumpkins and a giant turkey, which we oddly do not eat at the end. Which I'm impressed by. We didn't eat the turkey at the end.
All right, so that guy says, "Scooby Dooby Doo, where are you? We got some graves to dig up."
I mean, pretty much like the whole thing. It's kind of grave digging to get that book. So
yes, Dragon, and also they're like, okay, Dragon, the giant turkey and the gag with the baster.
Yeah.
That was one of those things that was just absolutely ingrained into my sister and I's skull. We would literally just rewind. We had the VHS tape because we're old school like that.
Oh, yeah.
And we would literally just rewind that scene over and over. And oh my god, Dragon. Like, I mean, it just hit us right in the sweet spot in terms of comedy. Just like Dragon, to this day, I think the funniest part about it is just like the random props. Like the fact that Shaggy and Scooby have these pilgrim get-ups like ready to go.
Yep. And again, that's what I'm saying. We held off till the third act to do the
Uh-huh.
traditional stuff. Where okay, you can when chased, they can pull out
And the
do
giant
the
turkey is
cartoon
great,
stuff.
but then also we've got the giant monster pumpkin too. You know,
Yep,
it's wonderful stuff all the way around.
they make that like sound, like the
Uh-huh.
creepy, all that sort of stuff. And again, I love that. Again, it's also a great move. Okay, we've taken a really scary monster turkey, and we've made it more comedic and
The
cartoony.
monster
We've
turkey's like busted a move at the last
yeah, we
second.
have a dancing giant turkey at the end. Which again I feel was earned at that point, just given all the crazy stuff we did up to that point.
All right, Atomic Beast says Sarah should be drinking buddies with Mr. Burns and Aku. I could see that. I could see
Yeah.
that being a fun trio.
Oh, she'd get along famously with Aku. I can definitely say that. She would get along great.
And I just like the idea of Mr. Burns being the one mortal in that equation, but still keeping up with them. All
Yep.
right. Anyways.
All right, let's see. So I liked that the Hex Girls. They saved the day with the whole fact of they were all about the whole eco goth thing was based on like they're Wiccans and particularly
Oh
Thorn
yeah,
descends.
eco goths. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and she descends from a Wiccan. Oh, like it was like from her mother's side or something, which is nice. It's kind of a little
Uh-huh.
tribute to that. And again, basically we have like the good version of Ben Ravencroft under our noses the whole time, essentially. Which it's kind of nice how that works. And again, so again, the real Wiccans save the day. So again, I like that as much as we're kind of glorifying the. We're kind of defaming Wiccans. We also kind of we stand true to it by the end.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Let's see. So Ben's fate, I loved Ben's comeuppance here. His fate was very fitting, where he was dragged into the book by Sarah as she
Again,
was
very
sent back
much
into the
Jafar Dragon.
But again, I just love like it because I felt a part of me felt a hair of sympathy for him, was like, no man, you brought all this down yourself, man. Where he's and just the fact that the writer is going to be trapped in the book, and the
In
book
the
then
book. Yeah,
burns.
yeah.
We then burn the book, and we have Velma with the great line, "It's a book no one will ever buy."
Ooh.
Just
Shade, Velma, shade.
evil Stephen King undid by his
Oh
own
my
book.
god.
That's rather cool,
Okay, Dragon, now I want to see a Goosebumps 3 where there's some sort of like evil version of R.L. Stein running around.
Yeah.
Alright,
But
anyways.
yeah, so again, it's got a really good climax to it,
The climax, I think, really makes the movie. As fun as the mystery stuff is, and it is really fun, I really think that this movie, if it was just the mystery stuff, would be fine. Like, I think we'd remember it more for the atmosphere than anything else. But I feel like the fact that this movie does have such a batshit climax really kind of like elevates it. I don't want to say it's as good as Zombie Island, just because Zombie Island is, like I said, it's the GOAT. It's the magnum opus. It's like
Yeah.
there's so much rich stuff in
I
Zombie
I
Island.
agree. It's the Mask of the Phantasm. There's no topping
Right.
it.
But
I
I
get
mean,
that.
yeah, I mean, I think the Sub-Zero comparison is very on point. Like it's a solid second best
But
movie in the
every time you watch
franchise.
Sub-Zero, you're going to be crying at the end of that movie. So there's something to be
Right,
said
right.
for where this is like not exactly a crying affair, but it's the same. It's going to
The
make an
dancing
impact.
turkey is so beautiful. I'm so glad they spared his life.
We burned him. But yeah. Seriously though, it's just I think the important takeaway though is that at the end we waited to do this. We didn't we showed like we earned our laurels at the end. Where what, if it
Uh-huh.
ain't broke, don't fix it. But we can mess with it. We've earned the chance to go off the reservation, so we're not just like, hey, here's the new formula. Go uber supernatural at the start or by the
Right,
halfway mark.
right.
No, guys, we can do the supernatural. Let's make people wait for it. Let's just let's dance with the one that brung you. It's like, hey, we all came for Scooby Doo. We're gonna get that, and then you've earned the surprise. You've earned the cherry on the sundae. Eat up.
Uh-huh.
All right. So then our ending. We're jamming with the Hex Girls, and by the way, I had no idea about this. Apparently, nod to the original pitch for Scooby Doo, which had a more musical thing before the mystery angle was there. So teens and their dog is going around being like a musical act, which
Uh-huh.
obviously found its way in other things, as you can probably tell. But yeah, so it's kind of like a little kind of little meta nod of like, hey, and we have the Hex Girls. They solved the mystery, do supernatural stuff, and they're jamming on.
Yeah, nice.
One thing,
Jam the night away.
Okay, we got a random thing. I want you to take note of because this is going to be in the next couple. Okay.
Okay.
There is an extra in this film who is in who's in the not all four. He wasn't in Zombie Island because that was very much we only had very specific supporting characters. There is a living character who's like a farmer. He's like a guy in like the plaid farmer shirt, like blue overalls, got a hat on. He's like he was in the he was like he was there during the celebration, and every time going forward, you're going to see him in a diner scene in the next two movies. Okay, so just when you have like a cafeteria or a diner, he's going to be there. So you have this farmer extra who's just worked his way into these three movies.
All right,
so keep an eye out for him.
I will keep it up, Dragon. That raises my excitement levels considerably.
I don't know if he's like a trucker or a farmer or what. He's like a guy in overalls with like that yellow plaid shirt.
All right.
Okay. Anyway, yeah. So that brings up the end.
Okay, take us out, Dragon.
Right. Chinkies. The mystery solved. And it's time to drive off to the next one in our groovy mystery machine. Watch out for those meddling kids next time on Scoobtember.
Which makes me a warlock.
It's a spell book.